Hey guys, I'm Jayce. Welcome back to Farmstead Forge. Today I'm showing how my little die for my tire hammer works for doing all the steps for a basic set of tongs. I built these yesterday. It took me right about 30 minutes or so to complete them with just a little bit of handwork on the anvil and I was all done. Before we get started, I just came across a new channel on YouTube you guys should go check out. He's just getting started, but I've seen his stuff on Instagram and he does some really cool stuff. Not to mention, he has a really sweet anvil. So it's MP Forge, and I will put a little card up here hopefully so you can go check him out, and I'll also put a link in the description for you. Like most of my stuff, I'll show how I do it cold and then we'll do it hot. I forged this out of a sucker rod knuckle, a 1-inch one. It's rolling away. My first one I did was just an experiment. I used mild steel. And I liked the width of this one, but I didn't like how wide this part was. It was too hard to see on my tire hammer, and I'll show you that in a minute. And because it was mild steel, this is an experiment, and it mellowed it over right there, but I didn't really care about that. I just wanted to see if my idea would work. Because I didn't like how wide it was, I made this side smaller. I didn't put a whole bunch of science into tempering this. My power hammer dies, I usually just quench them in oil and then I, old school, rub them with a file or something until I can see that straw come back in, till I know it's been softened a little bit. And of course, when you weld, if you weld your little stops on, these are also out of sucker rod. You just want to tack it to get it in place and then heat it up red hot and then weld it really good. It still might crack out someday, but it'll be 5 years down the road instead of 5 minutes down the road, but that probably goes without being said. I'm just going to use some 5/8 by 8 inches long square stock, and of course different jaws. You might want to upset some steel into your jaw. I'm not going to do that today, I'm just demonstrating, so we'll just do it as a regular bar stock. Okay, so I put a lot more light on the subject. So obviously this die you want dropping down so it's half on, half off, and then you can drive your first step down. These dies, or these stops, are just so I don't get it too thick. They're around 3/8 of an inch. This is all a nice soft edge. Try to keep from getting lines in my steel. I did get a few, but they aren't like cold shuts, they're just lines. So I think if this was tapered down a slight angle, started, and this was wider, I wouldn't have that problem. So next time. On this side, it's sitting in your dies like that, so your top die is coming down half on, half off. Drives that side down, and then you can come in here and drive that down. Most of the time I can do this all in one heat, but we'll be moving cameras around, so I'll probably just do a heat for each step. Also guys, if you make one of these clamps, this is out of half. Don't make it this thick, it's just in the way. Quarter would probably be fine. I just used what I had and it's always biting me in the butt. Another thing I forgot to mention, the angle I put on this is also when I come to do this step, I roll it just like you would on an anvil, and that just kind of gives my eye something to line everything up with. So just enough so I don't smack my boss. I don't really have much to even clean up on this one. I actually didn't screw something up this time. like always, I put a little notch on there so I know right about where my inch mark is for my boss. Alright, so now with those all roughed out, just like I like to do, I can come back and clean up my jaws and my boss in a minute. I put a little 3/8 block in here, just so I keep all my thickness the same. And I can draw out my reins or clean stuff up. Alright, so obviously I did no hand work on these. This was just roughed out, so they would need cleaned up, a little tight in the normal places, you know, and just need straightened out and all that. But you can whip a set out pretty fast. I got a little wild there getting that one up, but that's life sometimes. So you can see how fast it goes, and then from here you could make scrolling tongs or whatever you wanted, you know. All that jaw depends on what you want to make. I just did a basic set today. Talk about my measurements really quick. So at the widest point on my jaw, I'm about 1.25 inches. You might be able to go a little bit out there depending on your dies, of course, that depends on everything. And this guy, I'm just under 1 inch. It'd been nice to get that 1 inch, but I think because I just used a chunk of sucker rod, I got what I got. So this did help smoothen that over, but I like I said, I think if that was at a slight angle, you probably wouldn't get your little lines that you get. But they're not cold shuts, and they forge right out. Just want to do a huge shout out to Randy Richard in the shop. He did this amazing drawing for you guys with dimensions. If you'd like a copy, subscribe to his channel and send him an email and he would get you a copy. Just to show, this is my practice runs figuring out this thing. So it took me a little while. I'm a little slower learner than some people, but maybe it just shows that not everybody gets it right on the first try. So, you know, I think long way, I don't think I measured the length, but they're about 3.5 inches wide. Hope that helped. Hope you guys get a chance to build one for your tire hammer and get yourself some tongs whipped out. It makes building tongs pretty fast. So remember, keep it simple, and I'll catch you in the next one. Oh, I'm over here.